Hi everyone and welcome to a new video about noise analysis in instrumentation amplifiers, and this is our example number 2. In this example we'll look at the different circuit of an instrumentation amplifier and we will see what the noise performance is of that circuit. Again, we will look of course to calculation and then using SPICE simulations to verify our calculation. So let's look at our example. We have the following circuit given. Again, our instrumentation amplifier ENA 333, and in this case we have a reference circuit given by realized by this op-amp and also these two resistors, and we have again our 4 resistors which will be then our source as the Wheatstone bridge. And again we have the gain setting resistor here. In the previous example number 1, we have seen that this will determine the gain of the instrumentation amplifier, and for the noise analysis we need to add a AC source to do the noise analysis, so that's actually why we have it here. So we have also the power supply which is now 5 volts, so the whole circuit is running at 5 volts. So we have the R1, R2, R3 and R4 all 5 kilo ohms, RG which is then the gain setting resistor which is 1 kilo ohms, and we have R5 and R6, both of them are 100 kilo ohms, and we have the instrumentation amplifier of ENA 333, and we have also the op-amp OPA 333. Okay. What we want is the calculation of the input referred RMS noise voltage and also the output referred RMS noise voltage. So this circuit is just, and if we have in this circuit just an addition of this reference circuit or the buffer. We will see what kind of effect it has on our noise performance. Okay, let's move on to the solution. Now in this case we start with the operational amplifier specifications. From the datasheet of the operational amplifier OPA33, you will see these important parameters. We just made a list of the important parameters we will use for our noise analysis. Now the first one is the gain bandwidth product. This is at 350 kilohertz. We have the broadband noise voltage density, which is then here given by this symbol, 55 nanovolts per root hertz. In the symbol form we have the broadband noise current density, which is 100 femtoamps per root hertz. Now, we have no 1/f noise voltage and also no 1/f noise current for this op-amp. You can also see that in this plot. This is just a graph from the datasheet of this operational amplifier. You can see this already says there's no 1/f noise or flicker noise. On the left side you can see the vertical axis for the input noise voltage spectral density, and on the right side you see the input noise current spectral density. Now you can see actually that this has a value of 55 just for the voltage, and this has a value of 100 for the noise current in the broadband region. So there's no 1/f in either. Okay, let's also look at the instrumentation amplifier specification, so ENA 333. Specifically, again, we made a list of the important parameters we will use in our noise analysis. This is again the result, what we have. Again, no 1/f noise part for the instrumentation amplifier, so no 1/f noise current, no 1/f noise voltage, but it has of course 3 parameters we will need. That is the input referred noise voltage density of the input stage, and also the noise current density of the input stage, and we have the output referred noise voltage of the output stage. We know that we have 2 stages in this instrumentation amplifier, so we have actually divided already that in 2 stages. That's already given also in your datasheet. Now if you look at the datasheet you will get this graph, one of the graphs actually, and again you will see that the left side the input noise voltage spectral density, on the right side you see the input noise current spectral density. And you can see several graphs here. So the first one is this one, for example. This line is actually for the part which is then 100 femtoamps per root hertz, which is in femtoamps. This is the noise current, and you have also the part which is the output noise, which has a value of 200, which is this one, so the output noise voltage spectral density. And you have also the input noise current, noise voltage, which is then 50 nanovolts per root hertz. So we can of course determine that from this graph, and I have just placed them here just for future reference. Okay, now let's move on and look at the circuit performance. Now, first one is the gain. What kind of gain we have? Of course, we have the closed loop gain and also the noise gain. First, let's see to the closed loop gain. of the signal gain then. Now from the datasheet we can see from this operational amplifier it has this value. So you can calculate your instrumentation amplifier gain with 1 plus that 10 to the power 5 over Rg. And Rg is in our case 1000, just substitute the values, you will get 101. Okay, that's for the signal gain. The noise gain is in this circuit for the instrumentation amplifier equal to the noise signal gain is equal to the noise gain. So noise gain is also 101. So you will get exact same result. So the bandwidth, you have of course a closed loop signal bandwidth and also the closed loop noise bandwidth. Now for the signal bandwidth we need to use this table from the datasheet. You can see for several values to gain you have also the cutoff frequency or the minus 3 dB frequency, which is of course the signal bandwidth. But in this case we have 1, 10, 100 and also 1000. So it's not 101 exactly, but we will just take 100 and it will be 3.5 kilohertz. Of course we will have some minor error, but that is okay. So we will have them for a gain of 100. We have here a signal bandwidth of 3.5 kilohertz. Of course our gain is a little bit larger, so we will have also a little bit smaller noise, the signal bandwidth. But this will do the job, it's no problem, so not much error. Okay, the closed loop noise bandwidth then will be then calculated using just assuming that this circuit is only operating, so first order circuit. This will be discussed later. And then we can use the Breakwell conversion factor for first order system, which is pi over 2. Then we have this formula for calculating noise bandwidth, which is then the conversion factor times the signal bandwidth. Now if you now do the math, you will get pi over 2 times that 3.5 kilohertz, you will get almost 5.5 kilohertz, so it is 5498 hertz. That is just for the noise bandwidth, considering only the instrumentation amplifier. Now let's also look at the reference circuit, which is this one, the buffering actually using this voltage divider. How is the performance of that circuit in terms of gain and also the noise? Okay, the gain first. Now the closed loop signal gain of this buffer is actually just 1. So because you have just unity gain feedback here, and it is just amplifying by a factor of 1. The signal gain is 1, but the noise gain is also the 1. So it is just 1. It won't change. Okay, that's fine. Now we have now the bandwidth, of course. We need the signal bandwidth for this circuit specifically. Now for that we can use, of course, the expression for the op-amp. Gain bandwidth product over the noise gain. Now gain bandwidth product, we already calculated that, or we already get that from the datasheet, divided by the noise gain, so it will have 350 kilohertz. So you can see the signal bandwidth of our reference circuit is 350 kilohertz, and the signal bandwidth of our instrumentation amplifier, having a gain of 101, of course just 100 here for taking it from the table, is 3.5 kilohertz. So this is already 100 times larger. So for the complete circuit I can say the instrumentation amplifier have a much smaller signal gain than the reference circuit. So that means the signal bandwidth of the complete circuit will be determined or limited by this instrumentation amplifier INA 333. Because you will actually look at the smallest signal bandwidth, and that part will dominate and limit the total bandwidth of the circuit. The noise bandwidth, of course, of the complete circuit will be then this. So that is again the noise bandwidth of the instrumentation amplifier on its own, but that is now also for the complete circuit because this has the smallest signal gain. So we can just move on with this noise bandwidth for all parts of this circuit. We have of course the total noise voltage, and for that we have the input referred RMS noise voltage and also the output referred RMS noise voltage. Now those have a relationship between each other using the noise gain. So the output is noise gain times the input. Now the input referred RMS noise voltage on its own is composed in this circuit of 4 parts. So we have the input referred RMS noise voltage due to that INA stage, so the input stage, and we have of course the input referred RMS noise voltage due to the INA output stage. And we have of course the input referred RMS noise voltage due to the resistors, and we have of course also the input referred RMS noise voltage due to that reference buffer. So in this case we have that reference buffer. So those 4 will be the total input referred RMS noise voltage. Now, in a little bit simplified form, you can look at it in this model. So we have the input stage of the instrumentation amplifier and also the output stage. You can see these are the two noise sources: input noise current source, input noise voltage source for the input stage. This is the output noise voltage source for the output stage, and you can see that this will be the noise of the reference circuit or the buffer, and that will be added together and then fed to the output stage of the instrumentation amplifier, and then that will be then the total output noise. So this is just a model to clarify these four elements. So if you now add them up to have it actually reflected on the input, that will be of course contribution by this one squared, contribution that one is also, but that will be of course then using the resistors related to that voltage source, noise voltage source, and we have of course that output noise voltage source reflected to the input divided by the noise gain, and we have that reference circuit which has its own noise voltage reflected to the input again divided by the noise gain. That is a complete expression. Now, using of course this expression for going from the spectral density to the RMS value, you will need to multiply this expression by the square root of the noise bandwidth. Then you will have this expression also. So this is all in RMS and this is all in volts per root hertz. Okay. Now, if I now move on and start with the input noise voltage density due to the resistors, so this is the Wheatstone bridge, we have of course, looking from the point of view of noise, we have then the DC voltage source are shorted. So we have actually all the voltage sources are shorted. That means the R1 and R3. So if this is short, then the R1 and R3 will be actually a parallel combination. That also counts for R2 and R4. And we have then since this is all the same, we have actually the same parallel combination. So we can say denote these as a parallel combination, let's say R. Then we have this expression, which means actually these parallel combinations each are 2500 ohms, so 2.5 kilo ohms. Now, the contribution first one is the input revert noise voltage spectral density due to the parallel combination of the first one, R1 and R3. The next one is again the same, but then the contribution by R2 and R4. We have also the input noise voltage spectral density due to the parallel combination of R1 and R3 and the input noise current source of this instrumentation amplifier, which is already we have already seen in the model. And we have of course also the contribution due to that two resistors in parallel and also due to that noise current source of the instrumentation amplifier. So we have four elements in this Wheatstone bridge. Now, if you now want to combine them, of course using the root sum of squares, so we don't add them up just linearly, you just square each element, add them up, and then take the square root of the sum. Okay, for that we need of course the parameters. We have seen this also in the previous discussion. So we have actually the values for specifically the instrumentation amplifier, where we have now this, which is then given the spectral density, and this is then 4 kT times R, which is the familiar formula to calculate the thermal noise voltage, and specifically the R was 2500. So we just substitute the values for the 4, Boltzmann's constant is the K, T is the temperature, in this case room temperature, let's say 27 degrees, in kelvins of course 300 kelvins, and is the resistor. Now if you do the math you will get this one. In similar form for the second one, exact same resistor value, we will also get exact same result. The next one is of course this one times the parallel combination of the R, which is an R1 and R3, the parallel combination, and also for the next one, which is of course the same, so that will be also this. So we have now four elements, and if you now combine them using this formula, you will get 9.1 nanovolts per root hertz. That's the first part of our required calculation. Now, input noise voltage density due to that buffer or the reference circuit. Now, again, looking from a point of view of noise, I can say the DC sources again shorted, and the R5 and R6 are actually a parallel combination. So that's also shown here. This is actually what we have as the buffer, And if you now look from a point of view of the noise, you have of course the input noise voltage source and also the input noise current source. You can see that here for specifically the OPA 333. And you have of course these two parallel, because this is grounded, so you have actually this one, and this will also generate its own thermal voltage, thermal noise voltage, and that's already given here in series. So that will be of course also discussed shortly. Now the RB, just count that, we just renamed it RB. That's the parallel combination of R5 and R6. That's then 50 kilo ohms. That's just the parallel combination of 100 to 100 kilo ohms. Okay, we have input referred noise voltage spectral density due to the op-amp input noise voltage spectral density. So that's actually this source here that will of course has its own contribution at the input. That is exactly the same of course. We also of course have the input referred noise voltage spectral density due to the op-amp input noise current source, this one, and the parallel combination of R5 and R6, because this current will flow through these resistors and will generate noise voltage at the input. Now we have of course also the thermal noise voltage just by the resistors in parallel. So that's actually this one. So the input referred noise voltage spectral density by the reference buffer, just the reference buffer, is then given by this expression. Again, use these three elements, square each of them, add them up, and then take the square. That is actually adding using root sum of squares, because we use noises, and for noise we need to use noise powers, and for that we need to use actually vectors. Okay, now just again the calculations. The first one, the input referred noise voltage due to that source, is just of course what it is, and that's actually what we have from our datasheet, which is just the broadband noise voltage, which was 55 nanovolts per root hertz. That's actually why we have this symbol here of BB. Now for this second one, we of course use this source, 100 femtoamps per root hertz, multiplied by the equivalent resistance of 50 kilo ohms. You just use Ohm's law and you have now 5 nanovolts per root hertz. For the second one, you will use then, for the third one, you will use just the formula for the thermal noise voltage, which is then the 4 kT times that resistor. If you just substitute the values, you will get 29 nanovolts per root hertz. Now we have the necessary elements, just substitute that in here, you will get 62 nanovolts per root hertz. That's now for the reference circuit or reference buffer. Okay. Okay, what's then the input noise voltage density in total? Now this was the formula. If I now collect the parameters and also the values we have the noise gain of 101, I mean. We have these values calculated, and this is what we have. There's the first three, which is from the datasheet. This is calculated, these two, and this is also calculated from the circuit. Since the noise gain of the buffer is 1 and noise gain of the instrumentation amplifier is 101, so in total it is still 101. Okay, now if I now substitute the values, I have then the first one, which is this, 50 nanovolts per root hertz. This is then of course the second one from here, divided by 101, square them. This is just from here, 9.1 nanovolts per root hertz. This is what we have calculated, 62 nanovolts per root hertz divided by the noise gain. Then you will get 51 nanovolts per root hertz. That is what we have now. Okay. The output noise voltage density is calculated using this. We have need for that a noise gain, 101. Multiplied by this one, you will get 5.15 microvolts per root hertz. Okay. To go from the densities, from the voltage densities for the input and output to the RMS values, we need of course calculation of the spectral densities times the square root of that noise bandwidth. Now the noise bandwidth, we already calculated that. We have now for this part, which is the input noise voltage spectral density, 51 nanovolts per root hertz. If you do the math, you will get 3.78 microvolts RMS. Now using the noise bandwidth, of course. Now again, for the output RMS noise voltage in a similar form, you will use this, multiply it by the noise bandwidth, you will get 382 microvolts RMS. You can also do the following. You can get this value, take that value and multiply it by 101, also get that value. So that's also possible. Okay, now we have now the required values for this example. Now we will of course check that also in simulation. But before we move on, let's also look at the signal to noise ratio, very important. The signal to noise ratio is a measure that compares the desired signal to noise signal. In a more precise way, defined as the signal power to the noise power, often expressed in decibels. Now, if you have a ratio which is then higher than 1 or greater than 0 dBs in dBs, that indicates you have more signal than noise. Otherwise, you have more noise than signal. So if you have a ratio which is between 0 and 1, or you have a value which is less than 0 dB, so you have negative, that means you have more noise than signal. Now for this circuit, the SNR in the output for a specific frequency can be calculated using this formula. And by specific frequency, I mean the frequency where we actually see that this integration is settled. We will see that also in the simulation shortly. So this is the formula, and this is what we have calculated for our output referred RMS noise voltage. Now, if you just substitute that value here, you will get 68.4 dBs. That's what we have as the SNR. If you want to increase this value must be decreased. So if you increase this, you will decrease this. So that means actually you will have more noise at the output, you will have less signal to noise ratio. That's the relationship. Okay, let's look at the simulation results. Output noise voltage spectral density. The first one, this is the result, this is the circuit. We have some labels here. The first one is actually the noise voltage at the output spectral density at DC. And what we have here is the value when you decrease this value by a square root of 2. So which will determine then your cutoff frequency actually at the output. Now, we have simulated now the output noise voltage spectral density is 5.156 microvolts per root hertz, and the cutoff frequency is 3916 hertz, so it's approximately 3.9 kilohertz. But our calculation for the output noise voltage spectral density was 5.151 microvolts per root hertz, so that's very close to that one, but the cutoff frequency is lower, so we have 3.5 kilohertz and it's 3.9 kilohertz. So you can see there's a little bit more than 400 hertz difference. Why is that the case? That might be of course due to the fact that we use the typical value from a datasheet, from our operational amplifier, also from the instrumentation amplifier, and there are also other secondary effects we don't take into account by using the noise analysis, because we assume that the circuit is first order. So this difference is of course important to take into account, but it is not a surprise actually for analysis point of view, because we use a very simplified analysis. So this is not that great of a deal. Of course, we need to fine-tune if there is a design problem, but in this case it's just analysis. Okay, total RMS output noise voltage. That's the plot. The circuit, the plot, and then we have some labels here to emphasize several important points here. The calculation. The total RMS output noise voltage we have calculated was 382 microvolts RMS. What you see is actually following here. It grows and then tries to settle down, and it goes again, and then has actually a steady value of 429 microvolts RMS at 1 gigahertz. So at 1 megahertz it was actually a little bit smaller, and at 100 kilohertz it was actually this one, and at 35 kilohertz specifically we have this value. Now we have already discussed the important rule of thumb, which is called then the integration bandwidth. Integration bandwidth is actually the fact that you just measure your noise at a specific frequency, which is approximately one decade after the cut frequency of your circuit. Now in our case the cutoff frequency was calculated to be 3.5 kilohertz. If you just multiply by 10, you will get 35 kilohertz. If you look at this frequency, what the noise voltage is, RMS noise voltage, the output, that is shown here. That will be 385 microvolts RMS. And that's very close to what we have calculated. So if you now just look at the simulation, then you can see these two are approximately the same. But if you, of course, look at all the way to the frequency at 1 gigahertz, this difference, 429 microvolts RMS, and this one is of course a little bit large, but in practical sense, so looking from an engineering point of view, we of course don't have much noise contribution in practical sense after the cutoff frequency, let's say after 1 decade. So that's actually why we use this rule of thumb. So that integration bandwidth is important to consider, and don't take that actually what you might measure, which might be the case of course due to some unexpected or not taking into account parameters in your model. But this is the more practical way to measure your output noise voltages from the graph. And that will be of course now compared with each other. We have the calculation, also the simulation, and those are in very good agreement. Okay, let's also look at the signal to noise ratio, SNR. This is the plot. You can see it started already large at low frequency, 1 Hertz, and then decreases rapidly and then settles down to this value. So we have calculated that signal to noise ratio using this formula. We have this output noise voltage spectral density, and we have the calculated value of 68.4 dBs. And the simulation gave us 67.4 dBs. This is of course then 1 dB smaller. That's due to that noise voltage, which was in the previous graph, which was larger at 1 gigahertz than actually this value. So if you substitute in here that 429 microvolts RMS, you will get very close to 67.4 dB. So we will have just 1 dB decrease in your signal to noise ratio due to that noise voltage, which is larger than what we have calculated. So what we have seen is actually that the signal to noise ratio, the output noise voltage spectral density, and also the RMS value of the output are in very close agreement with our calculations. So what you see is that you can use a reference buffer that will of course also alter your noise performance. It will add more noise, but if your instrumentation amplifier gain is dominating, then this will have not much effect. And of course, if you just consider it as a high gain stage. That's of course very important in general case if you have multiple stages. The first stage is most of the time designed as the very low noise amplifier, and the subsequent stages can be just, let's say, not ignored, but can be less stringent, designed on purpose of noise. Okay, that's for this example, considering the instrumentation amplifier having a reference buffer circuit. If you have any questions about this example, try to text me via the comment section, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. Thanks again for your attention, and don't forget to like and share this video so that we can reach more people for this very interesting topic. See you next time, and take care.